Look around you right now. The colors, the light, the shapes, this is what you call the world. But here is a strange and humbling truth. Everything you are seeing is only a razor-thin sliver of what is actually out there. Your eyes catch a tiny band of light, your ears grab a narrow strip of sound, and everything outside those bands, the vast majority of reality, is simply invisible to you. It always has been. You have spent your whole life inside a small, comfortable bubble, mistaking it for the entire universe. But all around you, other animals are living in completely different worlds. Worlds painted in colors you cannot imagine, lit by heat, mapped by sound, wired with electricity, and threaded through with the invisible pull of the planet itself. This is the story of how animals really see the world. And by the end, the reality you thought was solid and complete is going to feel very, very small. Let's begin with light. Because even here, in the one sense you trust most, you are almost blind. Think about what human sight actually is. The light around you is a spectrum, a vast range of wavelengths, and your eyes are tuned to catch only a thin ribbon of it in the middle. Just below that ribbon lies infrared. Just above it lies ultraviolet. Both are pouring over you all day long, and you have never seen a single ray of either. Now watch what happens when an animal can. When you look at a flower, you see a simple splash of color, a yellow sunflower, a plain white daisy. But a honeybee looking at that same flower sees something you will never see with your own eyes. Painted across the petals in ultraviolet light are glowing patterns, bright landing strips and bullseyes, invisible arrows that all point straight to the nectar at the center. Flowers have been advertising to insects for millions of years in a color humans simply cannot receive. To the bee, a meadow is not a soft wash of pastels. It is a blazing airport, every bloom lit up with runway lights, guiding it into land. And the bee is not slowly examining each flower the way you would. Its compound eyes are built from thousands of tiny lenses, and it can track flickering movement far faster than a human eye. So a garden that looks calm and still to you is, to the bee, alive with motion, every waving petal and passing shadow sharp and bright. And it is not only insects. Many birds see ultraviolet too. A bird looking at another bird of the same species can see markings on its feathers that are completely invisible to us. Secret patterns that help it choose a mate. Two birds that look identical to your eye may be flashing brilliant private signals at one another the whole time. Some berries glow with ultraviolet signatures that tell a bird they are ripe. A kestrel hunting over a field can follow the ultraviolet trails of vole urine glowing on the grass, leading it straight to its next meal. Their sky, their forest, their world is decorated with a whole extra dimension of color that you have never once glimpsed. And it goes further still. High above, a golden eagle is soaring, and its vision makes ours look almost useless. Packed into the back of an eagle's eye are far more light-detecting cells than yours will ever have, so densely crowded that the bird sees the world in a resolution several times sharper than a human. From a height where you would see nothing but a blur of grass, an eagle can pick out a single rabbit twitching its ear. It has two focusing centers in each eye, letting it lock onto prey ahead and to the side at the same time. When an eagle looks down at a landscape, it is reading fine print we cannot even find. To match its eyesight, you would have to be able to read a newspaper from the length of a football field away. But if you really want your sense of vision humbled, meet the undisputed champion of eyes on planet Earth. It lives on tropical reefs, it is barely the length of your hand, and it looks like a swimming rainbow. The mantis shrimp. Your eyes contain 3 types of color receptor: red, green, and blue. Just 3. And from those 3 your brain builds every color you have ever seen. The mantis shrimp has up to 16 different types of light receptor tuned to slices of the spectrum you have no words for, including several kinds of ultraviolet. But that is only the beginning. The mantis shrimp can also see something called polarized light, the direction in which light waves are vibrating. To you, the glare bouncing off water is just brightness. To the mantis shrimp, it is a rich, structured signal, one it uses to spot prey and to send secret messages on patterns of its own body that its predators cannot even see. It hides in plain sight, flashing in a color channel no enemy can read. Each of its eyes moves independently, and each one has trinocular vision. It can judge distance with a single eye alone. This small creature on a coral reef is looking at a version of reality so far beyond ours that we can barely build machines to imitate it. Now let's turn out the lights, because seeing color is one thing. Seeing in total darkness is another world entirely. Picture a pitch-black desert night. No moon, no stars, nothing your eyes could ever use. And gliding across the sand, a rattlesnake locks onto a mouse it cannot possibly see and strikes with perfect aim. How? Because the snake is not seeing light at all. It is seeing heat. Between its eye and its nostril, on each side of its face, a pit viper has a deep pit lined with a membrane so sensitive it can detect a change in temperature of just a few thousandths of a degree. That warm little mouse is glowing in the dark like a light bulb, a living silhouette of body heat burning against the cool night sand. The snake sees the world in infrared, in pure warmth, and it layers that heat image right on top of its normal vision, the way you might overlay two photographs. In absolute darkness, it knows exactly where the warm blood is hiding, how big the animal is, and even which way it is facing. Pythons and boas have the same gift, rows of heat-sensing pits along their lips. To them, a warm body in a cold burrow is impossible to hide. You would be standing in a black room seeing nothing at all. They would see you glowing like a fire. But even here, in the deep dark, some animals refuse to give up on ordinary light. They just squeeze every last drop out of it. Think of a cat. In a room so dim you would be stumbling into furniture, a cat moves with total confidence because its eyes are built to gather the faintest glimmer. Behind the retina sits a mirror-like layer called the tapetum lucidum. Any light that slips past the eye's senses bounces off that mirror and passes through them a second time, doubling the chance to catch it, which is exactly why a cat's eyes flash back at you in the dark. With this trick, a cat can see in light 6 times fainter than you need. And far below the waves, where sunlight never reaches at all and the water is blacker than any night, animals stop borrowing light and start making their own. In the crushing deep sea, an anglerfish dangles a glowing lure of living light in front of its enormous jaws. A tiny lantern in an endless dark, luring curious prey close enough to swallow. Down there, the only light in the world is the light that life itself decides to switch on. But heat vision and glowing lures only reach so far. What if there is no light and no warmth to track? What if you need to hunt in complete, silent blackness and paint a picture of the entire world using nothing but sound? This is the domain of the bat. On a moonless night, a bat pours out of a cave and hunts flying insects at high speed, weaving between branches, snatching a moth out of the air in total darkness. And it does all of this with its eyes barely in use. Instead, the bat is screaming. It fires out a stream of ultra-high-pitched clicks, far above anything your ears can hear, dozens of times every second. Those sounds race out, bounce off everything around it, trees, walls, insects, and come racing back. And from the faint returning echoes, the bat's brain builds a complete 3-dimensional map of the world. It can hear the shape of a moth. It can hear how fast that moth is flying and in which direction, and even the flutter of its wings. It is seeing with sound, drawing the night in echoes so detailed it can pluck a single insect out of the dark. But this is a battlefield, and the prey fights back. Some moths have evolved ears tuned to the exact pitch of a bat's hunting cry, so the instant they hear it, they fold their wings and drop out of the sky. A few can even throw out their own bursts of clicks to jam the bat's sonar, blurring the picture. An invisible war of sound is being fought over your head on summer nights, and you cannot hear a single shot of it. Dolphins do the very same thing underwater, sending out clicks that let them see a fish buried in sand, or read the insides of another dolphin's body from across the water. To these animals, sound is not just something you hear, sound is sight. Now we cross into a sense so alien that you have no word for what it feels like. because you cannot feel it at all. Electricity. Every living thing, every beating heart and twitching muscle gives off a faint electrical field. Your body is doing it right now. You will never sense it, but a shark can. Scattered across the snout of a great white are hundreds of tiny jelly-filled pores called the ampullae of Lorenzini, and they are among the most sensitive electrical detectors in all of nature. In the final moment of a hunt, when a shark's eyes roll back for protection, it does not need them. It can feel the electric flicker of a fish's heartbeat hidden under the sand. A flatfish can bury itself completely, hold perfectly still, and go totally unseen. But it cannot switch off its own heart, and to the shark, that heartbeat is a beacon glowing in the dark. Sharks can even sense the weak electrical distortion that the Earth's magnetic field creates as they swim, using it to hold a course across the open ocean. And in the rivers of Australia, one of the strangest animals alive uses the same power, the platypus. It hunts with its eyes, ears, and nostrils all sealed shut underwater, completely blind and deaf. Instead, its soft, rubbery bill is packed with thousands of electrical sensors, and it swings that bill side to side through the murky water, feeling for the tiny electric twitch of a shrimp's muscles in the mud. It is hunting in perfect darkness by touch and by electricity alone, sensing the living sparks of other creatures. Stop and imagine that for a second. To the platypus, a still, silent, invisible shrimp is not hidden at all. Its every heartbeat and muscle flick lights up in a sense you do not have and cannot picture. A whole world of tiny electric fireflies flickering in the mud. Now for the sense that may be the most incredible of all, because it uses the entire planet. Every autumn, billions of birds set off on journeys of thousands of miles, flying to places they have never been, sometimes entirely alone, and they arrive with pinpoint accuracy. A tiny songbird, weighing less than a handful of coins, can cross an ocean at night and find the exact same forest, year after year. No map, no landmarks in the dark below. How can it possibly know the way? Because a migrating bird can sense Earth's magnetic field. Our planet is wrapped in an invisible magnetic web, arcing from pole to pole, and these birds can read it like a compass built into their own bodies. Scientists believe the magnetic field may even trigger reactions inside a bird's eye, meaning it might literally see the field as a faint pattern of light and shadow laid over the sky, showing it which way is north. Imagine that, looking up and seeing the direction home glowing in the air itself. Sea turtles do it too. A hatchling scrambles into the ocean and swims off into the open sea, and decades later, that same turtle returns across thousands of miles of featureless water to lay her eggs on the very beach where she was born, guided by the magnetic signature of that single stretch of coast, remembered from the day she first entered the water like a permanent address. To these travelers, the Earth itself is a map, glowing with invisible lines that you will never see. And it is not only navigation that hides in the parts of the world we cannot sense. Deep sounds travel too low for us to hear. When an elephant rumbles at the very bottom of its range in infrasound, the call rolls out across miles of savanna, even traveling through the ground as a faint tremor. Another herd, far over the horizon, feels it through their feet and answers. Elephants are holding conversations across distances that would leave you in total silence. And finally, let's look at some animals whose eyes are just built in wonderfully strange ways. The chameleon has two eyes that move completely independently, each swiveling in its own little turret. It can watch a branch above with one eye and the ground below with the other at the very same time, scanning two separate scenes at once until it spots an insect, snaps both eyes forward into focus, and fires out a tongue longer than its whole body. The jumping spider, no bigger than your fingernail, has 8 eyes, and its 2 big front eyes work like tiny telephoto lenses, giving this speck of a creature sharper vision for its size than almost anything on Earth. It can see a target several body lengths away, judge the exact distance, and leap onto it with terrifying precision. And then there is the star-nosed mole, living underground in total darkness, whose eyes are nearly useless, so it sees with its nose. 22 pink fleshy tentacles ring its snout, crowded with more than 100,000 nerve endings, and it presses that star against the soil so fast the human eye can barely follow, mapping its black tunnels entirely by touch. It is the fastest eating mammal ever measured, finding and swallowing a morsel in a fraction of a second, building a picture of the world with a sense of feeling so rich it works just like sight. So step back for a moment and take this in. The bee flying through a glowing ultraviolet garden, the eagle reading fine print from the clouds, the snake watching warm bodies burn in the dark, the bat painting the night with sound, the shark feeling a hidden heartbeat, the bird reading the magnetic field of the entire planet. Every one of these animals is standing in the very same world as you, the same air, the same ground, the same reef, the same night sky, and every one of them is experiencing something completely, radically different. There is no single real world that we all share. There are millions of worlds, one for every creature, each shaped by the senses it happens to carry. The world you see is not the world, it is your world, a small, beautiful, private version of reality, built by your particular eyes and ears out of the tiny sliver they can catch. And all around you, right now, other minds are living inside worlds so rich and so strange that you could spend a lifetime and never truly imagine them. The universe is far, far larger than anything your senses will ever show you, and perhaps that is the most wonderful thing of all. So here is what we want to know from you. If you could borrow just one of these senses for a single day, which would you choose? The bee's ultraviolet vision, the snake's heat sight, the bat's world of sound, or the bird's magnetic map of the earth? Tell us in the comments. And if this changed the way you look at the world around you, stay with us, because the natural world is always stranger and far more beautiful than it first appears.